the pit, it owns the flame. Top it off more than just a name. Top it off in this bite, just flavor and fight. One bird to rule the night. Top it off, hot sauce. Fuel in the fire, melt to the top. Top it off, hot sauce. Ride or die, we never count the cost. Our feet up, the legend's born. Flavor and heat in every storm. Roll drum to drum, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce. Ride the flame, feel the pain. Scream the name. Top it off. Living engine, soft ground, top it off, yeah! Rolling down the highway, spice in my veins. Metal heart burning, unleashing the flames. Taste buds screaming, can't retreat. This ride's ignited with an army heat. Roll down the highway, spice in my veins. Metal heart burning, unleashing the flames. Taste buds screaming, can't retreat. This ride's ignited with an army heat. Rub it off. Rolling down the highway, spice in my veins. Metal heart burning, unleashing the flames. Taste buds screaming, can't retreat. This ride's ignited with that RV heat. One drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. One drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce. Flavor so mean, it'll break the law. Top it off, hot sauce. Kick it in gears with a molten draw. RV up, full throttle blast. Metal and peppers burning fast. Roll drum, two drum, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce. Flavor so mean, it'll break the law. Top it off, hot sauce. Kicking in gears with a molten draw. RV up, full throttle blast. Metal and peppers burning fast. Roll drum, two drum, can't be tamed. Trumpet, two drum, can't be tamed. Rattle that bottle, pull down the raft. Heat trail scorching the demon's path. From the grill to the pit, it owns the flame. Top it off more than just a name. RV up, full throttle blast. Metal and peppers burning fast. Rattle that bottle, pull down the raft. Heat trail scorching the demon's path. From the grill to the pit, it owns the flame. Top it off more than just a name. Top it off in this bite, just flavor and fight. One bird to rule the night. Top it off, hot sauce. Fuel in the fire, melt to the top. Top it off, hot sauce. Ride or die, we never count the cost. RV up, the legend's born. Flavor and heat in every storm. Roll drum, two drum, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce. Ride the flame, feel the pain.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of the 2025 season for the ESports Oval League's Grind Cup Series. As tonight, we are under the lights in Concord, North Carolina at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be here for the next 2 weeks, but here tonight, we are getting ready for All-Star Racing. That's right, it's the EOL All-Star Race presented by Top It Off Hot Sauce Company, as we are getting ready here this evening to have drivers duke it out with no points on the line. There is a little bit of a prize at the end, which we'll talk about, but this is where everybody gets a chance to blow off some steam, maybe be a little bit more aggressive than they normally are, maybe also get themselves a little bit of added information for when the points are back on the line when we return to this racetrack in 1 week's time. I'm Seth Cole, alongside of Scott Rankin, and Scott, here this evening, opportunity for a number of drivers to be able to make a statement in more ways than one, because if we end up having an all-star race winner here tonight that's not already locked themselves into the playoffs, there's a playoff spot potentially up for grabs here tonight.
There is. There's a little bit more on the line, and that means, you got to get out there, you got to work hard, more importantly, you got to drive hard. It's going to be a completely different race to what we're expecting to see next week as well. Short one here tonight. We've got heats as well to consider. The other thing worthwhile thinking about is that the stages later on tonight are going to be quite short, 20, 40, and then another 40 laps in the final stage to take us to the end of that race. So this is going to be completely different to what we see from next week. Next week going to be, nearly a Coke 600 race in effect. It's going to be a lot longer, a lot more green flag runs that we expect to see next week. So this is all about short, sharp shoots. This is about getting in front, grabbing track position early. There will be some tire fall off. Right fronts are what we're going to be talking about all night long. But at the same time, man, if I'm out there, I'm grabbing some track position and I am hanging onto it with 2 hands. I'm not letting that go. Defense, you can do it from the top, you can do it from the bottom. It's going to be a great night, I think, worth of racing action. And the biggest thing is let your hair down. Get out there, get aggressive. We each and every week, we get into these tire save, we get into these fuel save battles. We're going to have none of that this week, and that's really important.
Yeah, a lot of the pressure taken off these drivers here. This is also one of our Dash for Cash races. We'll talk about those drivers here in just a moment, but as we take a look at the information for this race heat format, the fastest 10 in qualifying, which is currently ongoing right now, they will be locked into the main event race. They will be worry-free. Lap times are currently rolling in. We're going to have 2 heat races in which there will be 20 laps each. There will be no stage breaks in the middle of those 20-lap heats. The top 3 from each one of those heats are going to advance. That will leave us with 16 total drivers that will battle it out in the main event. Pretty simple. If you don't finish in the top 3 from those 2 respective heats, your night is over. You're going home. You're done, and looking forward to next week when we come back here to Charlotte to continue on this home stretch of the regular season. And it looks like right now, most of the lap times have been recorded. There's a couple of drivers still out there, but it looks like for the most part, with 15 seconds left, like we have our fast 10.
Yeah, 10 seconds left in terms of qualifying at the moment. So indeed, we are going to have our fast 10. And it looks like Matt Metler is going to be the last driver that currently breaks his way in. I'm seeing lap times for a couple drivers. There's someone coming to the line right now. I think he missed out just. So, yeah, we've got our fast 10. It's all the way down to Metler. They're already qualified straight through. We're going to have 2 heats to shoot out and decide who gets to go through. There are going to be a total of 8 drivers from those 2 heats that miss out.
So we'll get ready here. First heat, drivers gridding up here for the first 20-lap shootout. Looks like Scotty Stevens is going to line up on the pole position. He'll have Chris Otto to his outside, Patrick McQuaid. I mean, this is the thing, right, about the fact that coming into this one, before we ended up having the qualifying session, nobody was locked into the All-Star race. It didn't matter if you're top 10 in the point standings, have multiple wins on the season, didn't matter. Everyone was at a level playing field and had the same criteria to have to qualify their way in. So some drivers that have looked really good here in these last few months, like Patrick McQuaid and Ryan Catalano, they're back there in row number 2. Alonzo King, Larry Bell, and Brock Whitehead going to be the 7 drivers participating in this first heat race.
Yeah, so 7 drivers. This will be their opportunity. Remember, 3 spots get in, so 4 are going to miss out. So it's going to be more than half of each of those heats are going to miss out. Scotty Stevens has been there and thereabouts the last couple of weeks. One of the bigger issues, I think, for him is the consistency and looking after those tires. I think he's not great in terms of the long run. So there is that to consider.
Yeah, I mentioned it's a sprint with 20 laps, but yeah, how much do the elements that we're used to come into play here in terms of, tire wear? We obviously have talked at length about, with these next-gen cars, the ability of putting dirty air on the nose and hurting a driver's ability to be able to maneuver through the corners. I mean, how much of that do we feel here in a 20-lap sprint?
You're definitely going to be feeling it. The dirty air, particularly at the start of this one, I do expect this to go single file out. This is tricky, though, because this is going to give us a really, really good read on what the first 20 lap stages are going to look like as well. If I'm in Scotty Stevens' shoes, I'm going to try and jump to the front, get a little bit of clear air, and just sit on the bottom and sit on my tires. I want to be leading just. For everyone else, it's about putting the dirty air on his nose. That'll be the key factor that they're all handling here.
And remember, you don't have to win this heat to transfer. You just have to finish in the top 3. As here we go. Flagman has the green flag in hand. 20 laps await these 7 drivers. 3 will advance into the All-Star race. 4 will go home. Already an issue there for Chris Otto as he spins the tires right off that outside line.
Yeah, so he's going to immediately be forced to drop back in, and that's not going well for him. So he drops all the way back to 7th. Here we go down the back straight. Looks like McQuaid's going to have a dive to the inside of Stevens as well.
Make it stick. Looks like he will. Well, he drifted up off the bottom a little bit there, and Stevens almost was brushing the wall on the high side of 4, but he made it work. Look at the run he gets down the D-shaped front straightaway, and Alonzo King follows him through to 2nd.
Have a look at Ryan Catalano. Immediately moves up the racetrack in 4th spot, looking for that fresh air to the nose was one of the big things I noted immediately. He actually brushes the wall, so he's not able to carry the momentum. But again, if I'm sitting there in Brock Whitehead's shoes, I'm watching these guys go at it, and I'm saving some tire right now. The reason for that, I'm not going to be able to crack those positions right now. Let them race each other out. Let them burn it off. And the big thing is, what happens in 10 laps time? I'm not going to be able to crack my way in there right now. So if I can't do that, I've got to do something else. Have a look at Alonzo King backing it up. Stevens will rotate it down the track, middle of the way through the corner. Alonzo King glued to that bottom lane. I think he's trying to save some tire as well.
Top 3 have been able to break away just a little bit. It's about maybe 0.3 of a second from McQuaid back to Catalano. That is 3rd and 4th. No brush to the wall there for Patrick McQuaid coming off at turn 4. No visible damage, but definitely saw some sparks come off that right rear quarter panel.
Yeah, so that means right up there and against the fence, pushing those limits again. Luke McQuaid can't stick with him, has to come a lane up and off the bottom. So the thing that he's going to worry about and burning the right front tire is staying in the gas off the corner exit. So the problem with this is if you're just hanging hard into the gas, you're gonna basically unload the front end of the race car, put a lot of heat, weight through that right front tire. You're also gonna lift its speeds as well, which also means you're scrapping it across the surface. So if you're gonna be in this high lane, make sure that you turn the car down the corner, maybe midway through the corner, so that off the corner, you're just carrying the car really nicely.
Tonight's All-Star Race festivities, including next week as well when we come back here to Charlotte to continue on the regular season. Brought to you by Top It Off Hot Sauce Company. Turn up the heat with Top It Off sauce, uniquely handcrafted sauces and seasonings that pack revved up flavor and heat. Find your flavor at topitoffsauce.com and follow them on Facebook. Is this a spirited battle for the 2nd position? Multi-groove, multi-lines, but both drivers, I think, more so just running alternative lines to make sure they have clean air to the nose.
Yeah, that's it, but you can already see King's... Oh, he got him! He touched him! He touched him. King's already burned his right front tire off, so he went out there hard after Scotty Stevens. He's burned that right front off. And Pat has been sitting back and saving that tire, just being really cautious with it through middle and exit. This is going to chalk everyone up. And have a look at Brock Whitehead. He's picked off Catalano now. He's now in this fight. So this one is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
we're not halfway through this heat yet.
We saw Otto start from second, drift back to seventh. Whitehead started shotgun on the field and has picked up 3 spots. To your point now, looking ahead, mouth watering as that transfer spot is just about half a car length out the windshield.
Yeah, he's just going to be patient. He absolutely needs to get there. The big problem with being patient once you do have a tire advantage is that will go away. It will start to stabilize. And the other thing is you can defend from the top really, really well. So if you wait too long, you won't have anything. You won't be able to make that run because you won't be able to glue the car on the bottom the way that you want. So there's a little bit of that in this at the moment. But look at everyone's transition to the outside lane.
Catalano right up there against the wall, actually in the wall there off of turn 4. As Whitehead draws a bead on McQuaid, got a nice run there, but just couldn't take it anywhere. And how much of this is patience, how much of this is aggression? Oh, well, might have to worry about this. McQuaid pancaked the wall, but how much of this is Whitehead searching?
Oh!
And how much is this of him just being patient, waiting for McQuaid to make a mistake?
He got him. Well, he doesn't have to wait long for the mistake. It's already been made. But the problem is, again, door slam shut. So the problem for these guys is what lane you want to take through the corner is not going to show itself until really, really late. If you want the outside groove, you're up against that fence the whole way down. If you want the inside groove, you're generally up against that fence right until you pop out. So actually trying to pick the lanes is a lot more difficult than it sounds. Scott, you just pull it alongside. You overtake the guy with all the speed. No, it's not that simple. Absolutely not. There will be an element of mistake here. And the other thing to think about is Charlotte's actually one of the tightest 1.5 milers we go to. I really don't feel like there's any other track where the groove is so narrow.
Battle we're watching right now is for second place. Throw a blanket over 3 cars. Very impressive there for Scotty Stevens. He's been able to open up a second gap on the rest of this group that's battling for those transfer spots. So if he's able to maintain this now halfway through this heat race, he'll be easily locking himself into the all-star race. But the question is, how much tire is he burning off in relation to the drivers that are behind him here? I would assume he's not burning off quite as much because he's not having to worry about battling.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does have that. Oh, gee whiz,
Wow.
McQuaid is living it late. He got to the inside. There'll be a little bit of door. Alonso's got nothing left on that right front. He's going to lose 2 spots in the corner, maybe. Doran down the back straight.
Contact made all the way down the back
Lots of
straightaway.
contact.
Whitehead almost blocked down below that blue line.
Yeah, King's gone. His right front is just done, and this is Whitehead. All he had to do was just be patient. And King's just going to keep Doran him.
Might have to give up the fight down here into one more. Contact made between these two. Chevy on the top, Toyota on the bottom. King trying to find some kind of a run here off of 2. He does, and
He
at
got
least
it.
for the moment keeps Whitehead at bay.
Now, if I'm Whitehead, I'm swinging the top here because I want to come back with him with a huge head of steam. You can just see, comes down the racetrack, just gets in that dirty area. He can't take the run anywhere. The really interesting thing I'm keeping an eye on with Whitehead at the moment, he's not shifting. And I would feel like the pace has gone out of these cars so much, you got to shift. We are over a second fall off in terms of tire wear already on this run. This is nothing like the last couple of weeks of race cars that we've seen. Think about every time we've been to an oval lately, there's been 0 fall off. It is stuck for a long, long time. Not tonight.
That's it right down there on the line. Whoa, look at that. So I think he's going to make the pass. Big lift out of Alonso King through the center of the corner, and Whitehead will move on by for 3rd place. 6 laps to go. Right now, Stevens, McQuaid, Whitehead, your top 3. They'd be the transferees if they hold serve.
You just see he's gone on him already. 1 corner, 1 straightaway. He's done. So Alonso threw everything he had at Scotty Stevens looking for that clear air. He got the fence. Actually, Alonso Stevens got into 4. He's ripping the top. He was trying to keep it pressed into the fence.
Scotty Stevens just wanted to come around and see that white flag in the air. 5 laps away from doing just that. as he holds a 1.2 second gap back to Patrick McQuaid, another 0.7 of a second back to Whitehead, and now we're approaching nearly a full second from third back to fourth with Alonzo King, Larry Bell, Ryan Catalano, and Chris Otto, potentially the four that would not move on here to the All-Star race. Only the top 3 can transfer in, along with the other 10 that have already qualified in through speed in the qualifying session. Another 3 drivers will be determined in the upcoming second heat.
Yeah, well, Chris Otto's starting to show a little bit of speed, and he's come back a little bit at Ryan Catalano is going to try and go around the outside. Bell's to the inside right now of Alonso King. This is important because if you're going to try and get back up to that lead group, you sort of got to make that pass now, and Bell's done that. But the problem is I think they're just too far away.
Whoa! King into the wall there. His hands are full as he exits off of the corner. Was able to gather it back up, but as you said, he's just used up everything underneath that race car in terms of stability. Now just basically hanging on here for the final 4.5 miles.
Yeah, so the difficulty is, I mean, again, Alonso was looking for the fresh air. He was trying to get to Stevens. He was throwing everything he had at him, and, you know, that's just taking too much out of it. But, you know, the way to think about these things is P2 is still a transfer spot. P2 still gets you to the feature. And don't forget as well, the rules of the feature here tonight as well, the All-Star race, 20 laps for the first stage, 20 laps in the second stage, gets us to the halfway point. Random field invert.
Yes.
And anyone, that means that whatever that number is for the field invert, that many cars are getting inverted. So it could be all 16 cars. There is a chance it's all 16 cars. There could be 2 cars that get inverted. It could be just the front row that swap positions. So any spot in the feature come the end of lap 40 could actually pop back out and potentially be at the head of the field.
White flag in the air for Scotty Stevens, and consider this as well. It looks like Patrick McQuaid's just going to let Brock Whitehead on by for second because third is still a transfer spot. But right now, McQuaid's really the only driver we've been talking about that's more than likely going to make his way in on points to qualify for a spot in the playoffs. Scotty Stevens, Brock Whitehead, they're transferring into the All-Star race. If they win the whole thing here tonight, they get a wild card spot into the playoffs. Job well done there for Scotty Stevens as he'll take the checkered flag with the win. Brock Whitehead crosses second, Patrick McQuaid in third. That's your 3 transferees into the All-Star race later on tonight.
Gee whiz, that was some door banging. They were very, very happy to just trade some paint. And, you know, biggest thing is you at least get an opportunity to repair that race car, reset it, go again in the feature.
I think we definitely got a sense that they were of the impression that 20 laps were going to tick away very, very quickly. And if you didn't have the car that could pass, you better have the car that could defend.
Yeah. So challenging race, that one. This one's going to be even better, though. Think about it. They've just, everyone that's in this second heat got an opportunity to watch everything that just went on. There'll be some lessons. It would not surprise me if this heat is slower and everyone's just looking after that right front tire. If I'm at the back of this heat, I think the critical spot's probably P5 in this heat because you can just watch the guys ahead of you go at it and just chill on that right front tire. Put no energy into that thing whatsoever. And then watch as you just drive your way back into a playoff spot, potentially back into the heat.
Maybe one of the big surprise names that we saw have to qualify his way in the first heat was Patrick McQuaid. Noah Jackson would probably be the surprise name here in this heat race, as we saw him just 1 week ago pick up his first win on the season, solidifying himself a spot in the playoffs. He was third in points coming into that race regardless, so he was more than likely going to be battling for a championship by the time we got to the regular season finale at Daytona. But you got Brian Zimmerman and Chris Hubka on the front row, Matt Davies and the aforementioned Noah Jackson in row 2. Chris Reese, our Daytona winner in this field as well, with Clifford Corveau and Kyle Wellman going to make up the 7 drivers in this one. You'll note the 28, the 20, all with the mint green banners and spoilers. That's indicating that they are in the Dash for Cash here tonight. Larry Bell, Mark Gilbert, and Tanner Marr were also the eligible drivers in the Dash for Cash, but you got to make it into the All-Star race first in order to be able to win that Dash for Cash. So keep an eye on the 28 and the 20 here as they'll look to transfer in through the top 3.
Yeah. And this is going to go back in the hands of Brian Zimmerman. We get a good launch here. Hubka is not letting him get a run at all. And have a look at Davies right there on the rear end. trying to get that big launch. I'll tell you, who did get a launch? It was Jackson on the outside. Look at the momentum they're both going to carry.
I was going to be very curious about that 5 of Chris Hupka, because I didn't know if maybe it was a thing of starting on the front row on the outside line. Remember the struggles Chris Otto had on the initial start back in that first heat race, but it looks like Hupka was able to get a nice rolling start here. He'll slot into second. Battle's going to be on for third between a couple of Toyotas. Jackson on the top and Davies on the bottom.
And have a look at Zimmerman gets up to the top step. He actually brushed the wall. Hubka got alongside of him, and I think Hubka's going to get momentum down the front straight away.
Looking for the lead, not going to be able to stay to that left rear. He'll tuck back in line, still side by side for third place, as you have also Kyle Wellman looking on, trying to make this a 3-car battle. Also adding Christopher Reese. This is the transfer spot right here. Third place is the last one in. Fourth place is the first one out.
And how good was that toe down the back straightaway? Somebody punching the hole in the air for you. Zimmerman's still defending from the top. And I had a lot of talk about a few drivers prior to the show, and they're all saying, hey, we know Zimmerman from somewhere. You know, the guy's actually got a fair bit of talent. 3 wide on the front straight. Wellman not afraid to show the nose and get aggressive,
Well, they were door banging, side drafting there were Davies and Jackson. It slowed them down. Wellman had a great run off of 4, and he took it. Nearly had his left sides in the grass on the front straightaway, but now he'll move to P3. Ooh, up into the wall for his troubles, though.
There was some sparks out there, so again, everyone's sending it nice enough. The big thing, again, I think you got to be patient. I think these guys are just driving it too hard. Wellman's going to burn that right front tire off if he's driving it in as deep as he is right now, and he's going to come back to these guys.
To your point, with it being as short a heat race as it is there a scenario where you could open up enough of a gap before that tire burns off that you can maintain that before they're on your back bumper again?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a little bit of a difference. If we're talking about a 33-lap fuel run here tonight, and I think it's probably going to be somewhere in that realm, that's probably not a number too far from the truth. Well, the biggest part about that is you drive into lap 33 of the run. At that point in time, slap some fresh tires on it. You are good to go. You can get yourself four sticker tires, get back out there with a heap of grip. That's not the number that we're playing to tonight, though. The number we're playing to is 20. So you don't have to drive to lap 33. You can drive it a little bit harder. But the big thing is, with these tires, you put any heat in them, it struggles to come back out of the tire. That's been a problem with iRacing for a while. This new tire model matches what's on the GTPs on the road course side of things. So if you're a little bit of an Acura fan, you watch yourself some IMSA, maybe you're a Ferrari fan, all those sorts of things. This tire model will be quite similar to. It's a road course style tire model. As we're actually going to see Jackson get clear of Davies, and Davies is going to let him know about it. But the big thing with those cars is you've got to bring them in gently. You can't just dive out there and turn your best lap straight away. You do that, you're going to fall off the pace. So it's about making sure, get a little bit of a tire whisper. You got to get out there, you got to treat it kind. Maybe take it some chocolates and a bottle of wine.
The tire whisperer. I know
you got to be a tire whisperer.
I know somebody on our Thursday races that's been called the fuel whisperer. I've never heard anyone called the tire whisperer yet, though.
You gotta be. You have absolutely got to be a tire whisperer in this day and age. And have a look at Wellman. Wellman's already fallen off a cliff in terms of those tires. And Jackson's probably the fastest car out on track right now.
Up the track there out of turn 4. Wellman rushed the wall. Here comes Jackson to the inside. Again, one of our Dash for Cash drivers. Brian Zimmerman's leading this thing, so he's already got himself in a good position to lock into the All-Star race. Jackson looking to join him. Larry Bell, we know, will not be winning the Dash for Cash as he failed to qualify in his heat race just moments ago. And there is the pass for third place. Jackson will move on by. Wellman now falls to the 4th position, and you just see that gap opening up. To your point now, just nothing left to fight with if you're driver 42.
Yeah, have a look at Chris Reese is the other one who's starting to come back to these guys as well. He was also chilling out. So he took that first 10 laps to sit in the back of his pack and just watch them. Again, patience and reading guys. Have a think about the guys that are sitting there in the feature that haven't done any racing. Yeah, they're doing some practice. They're aware of what the potential is on these tires, but they've been watching thus far. Watching, reading, and learning. And the biggest thing I'd be saying to all of those guys is the tires switch off about 8 laps into the run if you press on a little bit too hard. So you got to drive them a little bit hard because you don't want to have to... The biggest problem is you lose time overtaking cars. So if you don't have to overtake cars and you can save tires, that's the Goldilocks zone. That's what we're talking about. So you need to drive it hard enough that you're not vulnerable, but not so hard that you're vulnerable later on. And that's the fine line we're walking here.
You talked about Noah Jackson turning some of the fastest laps here last couple of circuits, and he is visibly closing up here on the top two. It was looking like the battle was going to be for third place, and these top two were going to have a little walk in the park, be able to scamper away and solidify their spots here in this all-star race. Now that still can happen provided neither of them drop out of the top three, but it's kind of being called into question here halfway through this heat race if either of them are going to end up winning this heat race, because Jackson is closing, and he is closing quick. The last couple of times by, he's been anywhere from 2 to 3 tenths faster than Zimmerman and Hubka.
Yeah. And I think he just took 0.2 of a second out of Zimmerman. But he, sorry, my apologies, that most recent lap he actually lost time to the pair of them. So his tires might be starting to switch off a little bit again, and that might be the clean air. But Hubka's done, this is the best Hubka's looked all season. I think less cars in the field, less having to fight. You know, he can just settle in and focus on his race has been a good thing. Look at how far Wellman's fallen off.
Near contact there as he started sliding up. Nearly got into the left rear quarter panel of our Daytona winner, Christopher Reese. Will now move on by for 4th place. See if he's got enough got enough time, maybe enough tires to close up on Noah Jackson, but he's going to have to ask for 2nd and 0.2 to be able to get up there to a transfer position.
Yeah, there's too much for him to do. Nearly. He's still doable right now, but he cannot afford to lose any more ground, so. But for Chris Reese, he's in a really nice spot. Zimmerman was protecting it. Now he's got the tire advantage, so he's comfortable.
Zimmerman coming into this race way down in the point standings, trying to find him. He's 35th in points coming to this one. Chris Hubka's hovering right around that cut line, that 16th in the standings cut line. He's 17th in points coming into this one. We mentioned a couple of drivers that transferred in from the first heat race that they close out the deal here tonight and take this all-star race. They get into the playoffs through a wild card provisional. Big opportunity here if you're Zimmerman or Hubka to kind of, especially for Hubka, to put the question marks to bed on whether you're just in or just out. You could lock yourself in here tonight if you're able to get the checkered flag in our 80-lap main event feature, as we're closing in on 5 laps to go here in Heat 2.
Yeah, that we are. I tell you what, Hubka's starting to respond again a little bit. Zimmerman might have pressed those tires on just a little bit too far. I got to be honest with you, Steph. I don't know that the outside lane is actually the preferred groove. I do think you want to be rotating the car all the way to the bottom. But he's turning the car down late really nicely. And there might be something in that. But I still feel like he's leaning on that right front a little bit harder than he needs to be.
Yeah, Hubka's just kind of been, I'll put this in air quotes, riding behind Brian Zimmerman ever since we took the green flag, got to 2nd place, and it's just kind of rode in the wake of the well, is it Texaco Havoline car? It's Texaco Havoline throwback, but that's not actually the sponsor on it. But, you know, with 4 laps to go, if he starts to string together laps that bring him to the back bumper of the 28, does he just continue to ride to make sure he gets a transfer spot? Or do we maybe, knowing that you've got, nearly 2 seconds back to 4th place position, do you do a little experimentation of, hey, if it's him and me in the closing stage of the All-Star race, I want to go to school a little bit here, see what I can do that gives me an advantage on him, maybe try and expose a weakness that he's got and squirrel that away for later on towards the end of the main event race.
Yeah, I would, personally, because what's the harm, right? You get out here, you're in a locked-in spot now, you do some learning. Well, you can't lose anything. You can lose maybe 2nd spot in the heat. That's fine. 3rd spot's still fine. That still does what you need it to. But everything else is where the big old gains are. Yeah, that's the big thing. Don't break it. Drive it like you stole it, but don't break it.
That's right. 3 miles left here in our 2nd heat race. Zimmerman, Hubka, Jackson firmly in control of the transfer spots. 1.1 second from 3rd back to 4th position right now. And Zimmerman going to see the white flag, this time off of turn number 4. Fords are going to sweep these heat races. Scotty Stevens took the first heat race, and now Zimmerman will look to do the same here in heat race number 2. These will be your final 3 transferee drivers to join the 3 that transferred from heat 1 and the 10 that transferred from the qualifying session.
Yeah, so, 16 drivers to go racing in our All-Star. A little bit of cash on the line, a little bit of fun. I think, you know, you treat this as an off week. You treat this as, I'm going out there with a smile on my face. I'm going to enjoy driving some race cars. We're going to have some fun. We're going to drive a bit differently.
Get some reps in for next week, too. Why not?
Yeah, 100%.
So Brian Zimmerman, you saw there, take the checkered flag. He, Chris Hubka, and Noah Jackson will partake in the 80-lap main event of the All-Star race. And as you mentioned as well, Scott, we ended up having announcement not only of the fact that it was going to be 2 20-lap stages before we set them free for the final 40 laps, but after stage 2, I'm going to be really curious to see what that invert is going to be, because it's not just a straight up invert. It's not whoever is last is going to be first and whoever was first is going to be last. It's a strange invert of the field, right? Like, it's going to be all over the place, and as you said, it may not necessarily be everybody.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, it won't be everybody. I'm just getting some clarification if we can talk about the number now, or if we have to wait till lap 40 and then we get the reveal.
Okay.
So, okay, I've been told we have to hold on to it.
Oh.
We'll be announcing it at the end of stage 2.
Okay, playing the cards close to the chest here, not even letting the drivers know the information. Okay, so our 16 drivers now, our 10 that transferred in on speed, our 6 that transferred in through the heat races, now getting ready to grid up. As I look down the running order here, it would appear that I believe 6 former winners on the season are going to be partaking in this one, which means there are 10 drivers that have not gone to victory lane yet this season, and they have an opportunity if they pick up the victory here tonight, regardless of where they are in the point standings. They have locked themselves into a wild card provisional spot in the playoffs. And consider this as well, Scott, with the tracks that we've got that are coming up here. We got Road America, we've got the wild card at Daytona for the regular season finale. These are racetracks that some drivers may go into with not a whole heck of a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to make their way into the playoff grid. Big opportunity here tonight in just an 80-lap feature to be able to pretty much make preparations for the postseason.
Yeah, that's a big one. Let's talk about what we got left. So we got Charlotte next week. We've got Indianapolis, which will be the final dash for cash. Oh, sorry, second last dash for cash race this season. Will be one more in the playoffs. We got Nashville Super Speedway, and we got Road America, and then we'll be finalizing things out at Daytona. So, you know, we've got ourselves 5 regular season races left to go. And then we get into different stuff. We do have one road course available to us to the playoffs. I like Chicago. Big fan of Chicago. Great track playoff stuff like that. But I'll tell you which one I'm scared for. Do you know they rescanned Iowa?
I did not.
So we get the new scan of Iowa. It is with the patches, and the patches are very, very, very difficult to drive around. That is going to be a difficult race.
We told you that format here for the main race. You see it there, the stages. Race control randomly inverts the field after stage 2. Final 40 laps to the dash. Winner that's outside of the playoffs would receive a wild card entry in, and already trouble right out of the gate for Alan Dobbs, the pole sitter. And caution's going to fly.
Yeah.
Got more trouble too. Matt Mettler's got a lot of damage there. That car just almost looks like it might have something wrong with the suspension. Oh yeah, he's got some pretty good damage with the right front.
You're right. Dobbs just didn't go.
I wondered if he got a bump from behind, but it didn't appear that was the case.
No, he actually didn't get touched. He fired it off in first gear, and he might have spun tires fractionally, and then he got helped. But Peyton Holland was right on him. He had no room, but you can see the initial jump. He jumps, but he jumps it minorly. And there must have been some wheel spin in there. He started in first gear. It's a whisker under the shift point for first gear, so it is a very short run to second gear.
Other drivers running into some issues here as well. That was Trey Whitehead and the 23, who was second on the outside line, having an issue.
There's one in both lanes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Kind of reminds me maybe of what we saw happen with Chris Otto on the outside line of the first heat race.
So Whitehead gets pushed into the restart zone from Tom Bourne as well. So it's the same thing. These guys are so packed up that if there is any mistake whatsoever, you're just getting into the back of somebody. And that's effectively what's happened, is that Whitehead's definitely made a mistake. And I reckon what I'm going to go ahead and say, Seth, is that Whitehead and Dobbs have both spun tires, but they've spun them very, very minorly. The problem was the margin for error. So check this. See the first gear start here? Stone cold tires. This is the coldest they'll be all night. There is a fractional wheel spin there. But the problem is, I think there's a mistake in both lanes. It's important to note who was actually the cause of the caution here, because that person gets sent to the rear.
Right.
I don't think you can actually say who was the specific outright cause of the caution. So watch this Dobbs' restart here again, keeping an eye on. So I think the yellow line here is pacing speed on the dash. You see, there was just a fractional wheel spin there. He had to come off the throttle just right before he shifted. But I think you're right. I think it is wheel spin in both lanes.
Definitely appears to be. And is that maybe a case of that first gear, second gear, the first gear upshift to second? They're so close to what they're running for the pacing there when they come around to the restart zone?
I think it's just starting in first gear. There's a lot of torque being
Okay.
put through stone cold rear tires. That's what I think it is. Because remember, literally all we've done is one formation lap. For every other restart we'll do for the rest of the night, if you're coming in for fresh tires, you come in, you'll pit, you roll around for a couple laps, you will get some heat into those tires, so it won't be anywhere near as bad.
A number of drivers
I
came
think it's
down
just
pit road there. We ended up having all three of our transfer drivers from Heat 2 involved in that. Brian Zimmerman, Chris Hubka, and Noah Jackson. And I believe that Jackson was the only one of those three that I mentioned that did not come down pit road. Extended stay for Zimmerman, same for Hubka. Tom Bourne came down pit road. Matt Metler looks like they've made repairs to that right front. Jonathan Cogswell must have gotten some damage out of that as well. I didn't see him get involved, but they spent a little extra time on pit lane for his pit stop. Same for the 23 of Trey Whitehead.
Yeah, so I think it's just damage for a bunch of the guys that are at the back that got into it. So just making sure they've got fresh race cars.
Looks like everybody is back on track. We'll be on the lead lap when we go back green here. Mark Gonzalez now the race leader. Entire top five got a facelift because of the goings on inside of the top five. Peyton Holland now in second. Tanner Marr in third position with Jeffrey Kleinsma and Scotty Stevens the top five. There you see Tanner Marr with the bright green banner and spoiler, one of our our Dash for Cash drivers. So we have 4 of the 5 eligible that are in tonight's All-Star race, along with Jackson and Zimmerman. Bell would have been the 4th, but he did not transfer in through his All-Star heat. As here we go, green flag in the air. Looks like everybody's going to get a much better, much cleaner restart this time, being a little bit more aware of those cold tires.
Yeah. Also more laps on them, a little bit of heat fired through them for that initial start phase as well. Gonzalez is going to fire out to a nice, easy lead early stages of this one. Shorter stage now. Think about that as well. We are effectively 5 laps shorter on this stage, which means you've got to be front-loaded on that speed.
Jeffrey Kleinsma appeared to be a little bit loose there off of 4. Run up on the top. There's Alan Dobbs trying to make his way back forward in the 35 after starting on the pole, spinning from the race lead at the initial drop of the green flag. Scotty Stevens, our winner from Heat 1, up there brushing a wall a little off the turn 2.
Yep, now we just watch and wait. You see who's saving.
Oh,
Bourne got the outside wall. Yeah.
Big shot. And look at Noah Jackson have to almost take it 3 wide to the inside of Scotty Stevens to avoid.
Yeah, I think Bourne hurt that car a fair bit right there, so he's going to probably have some more repairs and sink like a stone, unfortunately, his first stage.
Yeah, I was just
You'll
going
get
to
an
ask you
opportunity.
too, because we saw a couple of drivers go up and brush the wall in the heat races, but that was a slam. So, like, how hard is too hard when it comes to a brush here at Charlotte?
I think he hit that one quite hard, and he's definitely struggling at least a little bit. I think he's right now just trying to figure out what kind of race car he's got. The curious thing is how hard is Gonzalez firing out in the lead of this one. You can see Holland looking for that clean lane of air, moving a long way up. Back, he's found some speed up on the top. How long does it stick is the big one.
And Gonzalez, a two-time winner on the season, had back-to-back victories. When he got his first, took him only 1 week later to get his second. Started the season late as well. He's made only 16 starts to the 19 to 20 starts that most everybody else that's run full-time this season have made, but has climbed his way up to 10th in overall standings. He's obviously locked into a playoff spot here and trying to maybe play spoiler against some other drivers, because if you're not currently in a playoff spot, you win here tonight, you get into a wild card position. But on the flip side, if you're a driver that's already locked into the playoffs and you win here tonight, well, you got some bragging rights going into next week at Charlotte, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, this will just be a race run for those guys for next week. They're already locked in. It's not important. He might even let Peyton Holland go here. Just thinking about that later on, style of the race. So,
guaranteed caution going to come out here at the conclusion of lap 20. End of stage 1. There are no playoff points given out for a stage victory in the All-Star race, but track position, though, as we've alluded to, is very important, and you want to take and or keep as good track position as you can, especially when we get into the second half of this race, that third and final stage. Now, you may have noticed that Scott's up here in the booth. You don't hear any race engine in the background because he's not behind the driver's wheel. The 61, however, is in the field here tonight. Our broadcast colleague Matthew Rodriguez piloting it well inside of the top 5 right now.
Was just about to point this car out. You read this one off the notes that were scrolling through my head, Seth. But yeah, I was actually just went back to have a look at the car he'd put together for tonight. That's a beautiful looking race car, must admit.
It says Love Bug, but I don't see any reference to Herbie on it at all.
I agree. Missed opportunity, but what it is shouting out is it's all about looking after cats and cats that need rehoming.
Ah.
Which is, the front end of it reads, for the love of cats and planet. I believe it's an insect-based cat food.
Right now, Matt Rod holding down the 4th position. Alan Dobbs, after he lost all that track position, spinning from the pole here to kick off the evening in this All-Star race, trying to make that ground back up. Now looks to the inside of Brock Whitehead. An interesting point of note as well, when we end up having all-star races and drivers that have to partake in the heats or the qualifiers, whatever you want to call them, does that give them, do you think, a little bit of an added advantage? Like in the case here of Brock Whitehead, he transferred his way in through the first heat race. He knows a little bit of what these cars are going to do in traffic under race conditions. Does that give drivers that transferred their way in and had an extra 20 laps to experience what these cars are going to do at this racetrack under these conditions over the rest of the drivers that pretty much had to learn it on the fly as soon as we went green for this All-Star race?
Yeah, 100%. There is nothing that there is no practice like actually running in the race. You learn things, the car performs differently. You can't consistently find dirty air. The other thing that you've got to learn and pick your way around in the races is where to pass, how much tire to save. You can save too much tire. You absolutely can save too much tire. What will happen in that case is you give yourself maybe 3 or 4 laps where you're actually pushing on the tire. You need more time than that to make the advantage. You generally want to split up into about thirds. The first third, you want to run real light on the tire. Second third, you want to maybe start to use the tire a little bit, but you're still looking conservative. In that final third, you've got to go hard. But when your stages and your breaks between pit stops are only 20 laps, and in this case, only 15 laps worth of green flag running after that portion on lap 1, that's 5 laps in each of the thirds of the stage. So pressing on is difficult. You've definitely got to, as soon as you get cautions in stages like that, track position becomes way more important. For Tenemar, he pressed on a little bit too hard early on. Now he's starting to struggle. So it's just about thinking and planning the race. You don't just jump in the race car, drive, and be quick. That doesn't happen at the top level. You got to do some thinking, you got to do some planning, you got to do some running. And you're right. The guys that have been out there and go, okay, I did burn the right front off. Here's what I'm going to do moving forward. They have a huge advantage because they're running that dirty air. And I cannot tell you how important it is to get practice running in the dirty air.
About 2.5 laps away from our first stage caution flying here. No faster pairs. We didn't document that here in this All-Star race. And with that being said, I'd be a little bit worried about the overall speed of a couple of drivers that were involved in that lap 1 incident. Trey Whitehead, Jonathan Cogswell, Chris Hubka. We saw Tom Bourne clobber the wall off of 4 here on this run. All 4 of those drivers appeared to be running rather slow lap times, and obviously that would be in relation to the damage that they sustained as battle is on for second. And another thing that you and I and Matt Rod was even touching on before we came on the air here is things you can do as you make passes here. We saw Alan Dobbs pull off the move on Brock Whitehead where it's almost in a way a slide job, go low, move right up into that lane that the driver that you're passing is in, and we saw Brock Whitehead have to bail a ton as that dirty air was put right down on the nose.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something you need to test. You've absolutely got to trial running that way. So, yeah, for me, I would be looking to do it, and the reason I'm looking to do it is, hey man, you got to stall that front end of that car out. You stall the splitter out, stage is going to come to an end right here. And I'll tell you what, it's an interesting one. Some of the guys we expected to win that, not up there. Not involved, unfortunately.
So Gonzalez will win the stage. Pit road will be a very busy place here. Matthew Rodriguez, Peyton Holland, Alan Dobbs, Tanner Marr were the top 5 crossing the start-finish line. No stage points get given out here. Again, no playoff point given to the winner of stage 1. I also noticed here as well, we saw last week Mark Gonzalez debut a new livery on a new manufacturer, but he came back to the Chevrolet here tonight for the All-Star race.
Yeah. So, great job by him. Really good job from Mark Gonzalez, putting in a nice, consistent effort there. So he's in a really good spot at the moment.
So pit road is going to be a busy place. And a reminder to everybody that tonight's All-Star race, as well as next week's points-paying race here from Charlotte, being sponsored by Top It Off Hot Sauce Company. Turn up the heat with Top It Off sauce, uniquely handcrafted sauces and seasonings that pack revved up flavor and heat. Find your flavor at topitoffsauce.com. That's all lowercase, topitoffsauce.com. And follow them on Facebook as these drivers coming down here to get their fuel tanks topped off and 4 tires to go along with it.
Tire sets tonight, 6 of them, including the ones that you start the race on. So 5 changes, that's more than enough to get through the night. So tires will not be a talking point of who does, who doesn't take tires. It'll just be make sure you get there. I believe there will be a required pit stop in the final stage for fuel. So that one will be worthwhile playing out because that stage went green immediately after that. There's like a bunch of cars that are going to be staying in the pits this time to work on their cars. Chris Hubkin, Noah Jackson. I did actually go and have a look at Tom Bourne. His steering wheel was probably offset by about 15 degrees to the left, so he had a significant amount of damage on the front right. And Rodriguez, to the point. Did Mark Gonzalez speed, or did he have issues getting into his stall?
Looks like the pit stop was good. The amount of time on pit lane was the issue, so I think you might be right. Having trouble getting into his stall. I'm seeing about anywhere, depending on who you're comparing it to, looks like about maybe 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds longer on pit lane than some of the others around him.
Well, he did slide through. He did slide through, so he did have to back it up a little bit.
Got a couple gamblers up here. Matthew Rodriguez and Matt Metler, both going with 2 tires on this pit stop. A pretty good repair job there on that 31 car. Remember, he had quite a bit of damage on the right front after getting up and into the wall after the incident on lap 1. They've been able to clear that wheel well. They've done a pretty good patch job, and we'll see now with him gaining some track position what he's going to be able to do with it. Again, he and Matthew Rodriguez, though, on older left side tires. What is this kind of situation does this put them in? Are you able to hold off 4 freshies behind you if you have the track position at a track like Charlotte?
Well, one of the things that we can talk about is that right front tire absolutely needs to be changed. But I think one of the things I've realized through watching a bunch of stuff over the last couple of weeks is that it loosens the car up. These guys are tight, wicked, goddamn, can we please get a looser race car? It's the way they're basically talking about the cars tonight. So if you can somehow get a car that wants to rotate a little bit better, you know, then that can be the way to go. Oftentimes, only taking 2 tires does loosen and free the car up a little bit, but it just depends upon how much you take out of the left-hand side tires. And the big thing I'd say about Rodriguez is you saw him come to the fore at the back end of that stage. So he was definitely saving tires out of that lead group. He ran Gonzalez down. He was right there, right at the back end of that one, and he was starting to make some ground. I think he was one of the fastest cars in the field at the back end of that stage. So he's definitely saved a fair bit of tire. So that left-hand side of that car is going to be, you know, not too bad, but okay. We'll see how he gets away here. This will be a big point.
We revisit the graphic here. We're going to have our next stage, the completion of lap 40. So 16 laps technically here in stage number 2. And when we get to the conclusion of stage 2, that's when race control randomly inverts the field. So looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there, as we were 3 wide making our way through 1 and 2. Matt Mettler, that strategy, it gained him track position just for a fleeting moment, and he lost it all as they exited down the back straightaway.
Hey, with 3 wide on the entry to 3 right there, there was some aggression being shown with guys sending it to the bottom. Alan Dobbs has gone back to the rear end of the field as well. So he's back to 13. Something happened to him, I think, in that restart zone. I think he might have been on the outside line, did not get going. So they're all fighting it out, and they're all fighting it out for a little bit of track position right now. But again, you've got to look after that front right tire.
Toyota's 1-2 with Rodriguez and Holland, then a couple of Chevrolets with Gonzalez and Marr, then a duo of Fords with Zimmerman and Stevens, our 2 heat race winners. Stevens won the first heat race, Zimmerman won the second.
Stevens had a quick pit stop as well. He was one of the quicker ones in the field that took 4 tires. I'm pretty confident he took 4 tires. Otherwise, let's say slow 2 tire stop. But he was one of the quicker ones. Peyton Holland also had a very quick pit stop for 4 tires. Good job by a few of those guys.
It's Patrick McQuaid making a pass there on Brock Whitehead. Moving his way up now into the 8th position. Another driver that took part in the heat races earlier this evening. Finished 2nd in heat race number 1. Carrying the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company sponsorship there on that flamin' number 77.
I'm just settle down though. Who's looking to be a little bit more aggressive? I think the field's gotten a lot more patient. Gotta say, Brock Whitehead's to the inside of Matt Mettler.
That kind of surprises me too, because I thought that maybe this would be the more aggressive of the 2 stages, because the fact that we weren't going to have a full 20 laps to race here. We're only going to have 16 laps. It was going to be a lot shorter than even the first stage was.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think everyone learned how the importance of saving tires is. Remember, this is 2 tires on the inside versus 4 on the outside there for Whitehead. Gonzalez back through on Peyton Holland. Have a look at the amount of racetrack these guys are using too.
Just about everybody is using one of the lanes available here through the corners, all just searching for that clean air. Peyton Holland's been running up on the top side for most of this race, specifically over here in 1 and 2. Mark Gonzalez seems pretty committed down to that blue and white line, which, by the way, is not considered out of bounds here at Charlotte. It's a guideline showing the transition of the rather flat apron to the banking of the corners, but it's not like a Atlanta Super Speedway, if you will. It's not considered an out of bounds line, so I don't think anybody would necessarily venture down there to try and make a pass, but just throwing that possibility out there. It is an all-star race after all.
Yeah, shortcut the front straightaway. There's some meters to be gained down there. I can tell you that Matt Davies this week was testing the infield, and where the road course cuts through, there is a big old bump. So you do catch flight, but it's all about commitment down there. I think Jeff Kleinsman was testing it. He found it as well.
Ooh,
Have a look at
into
the battling that's
there.
going on.
Peyton Holland, as Tanner Marr tries to get to his inside for third place. Interesting thing, I was doing a little bit of research this week, and I know that we've been kind of questioning about some drivers that are down there in the point stands but have gone to victory lane this season and if they are eligible for playoff positions. Tanner Marr being one of those, a winner from Talladega, but nowhere close to the top 16 in overall points. I did look, they did have an updated playoff graphic after his victory at Talladega. He is indeed in a playoff position right now.
Okay, that's important to know. Brock Whitehead's starting to pick guys off. He's just putting the nose to him. And here comes Alan Dobbs. Look at the speed he's got. He was chilling on those tires. He was sitting way back on those tires. Because look at the speed difference he's got.
I don't know exactly what happened to Peyton Holland, but as soon as he got put up there in that outside line, it's like a parachute ejected from the rear of his car. He's gone from what was battling for second, now outside the top 10 to 11th.
Yeah, he's just falling back. Zimmerman's on the slide a little bit at the moment. Tanner Marr's sliding. Tanner Marr was again another one of those drivers who was a little bit quicker at the front end of that stage in stage one.
Look at this wad of race cars. It's like highway traffic. You're boxed in. Where do you go?
There's just nowhere to go. Gonna be 5 left in this stage. We're across the start-finish line too.
On board
Have a
with
look
the
at the
35 of Alan Dobbs. Look at this. Look how everybody is door to door, up each other's gearboxes, bumper to bumper. This is from 4th place back to 8th position.
Tanner Marr just moved to the top lane to aero block a bunch of guys because that's where the speed was building.
Fan out.
No one knows.
The wall. Dobbs looking low. He may have had his left sides down on the apron trying to get to the inside of Scotty Stevens.
He's getting blocked up. They're all getting blocked up at the moment. You can see the amount of guys that got speed. Dobbs elects to not show that noise underneath Scotty Stevens. He loses a spot, nearly loses 2. So these guys have got speed, but you got to show it. And that's the difference. Whitehead found the hole, found speed, and found Scotty Stevens looking to block Alan Dobbs. And that meant that he could find the turn that he needed in the car, and he could take that momentum somewhere. Stevens will get the barrier and have to lift here.
Had to hang on to that one there as he had to lift, and he had Dobbs right on his back bumper. Might have been some contact that got him loose. That checked the both of them up.
Yeah, that it did. Took some air off their nose, so.
Who else is right up there? Right behind Alan Dobbs, that's the 23 of Trey Whitehead. So both drivers that had some issues with spinning their tires at the initial start of this race, now towards the end of stage 2, making their way up into the top 10. We may not have heard the last of either of these two drivers yet.
Yeah, still going on. By the way, gonna be one more lap.
Yes, indeed. This time around, be the proverbial white flag for Matthew Rodriguez, who's done a great job hanging on with those older left side tires, maintaining 0.8 of a second back to Mark Gonzalez. And next time by, we'll see the green and white checkered flag, the caution waving, and we'll get geared up here not only for our 3rd and final stage, but to finally get the revelation on what the invert is going to be. And obviously these drivers have no idea about it. You don't know if their position will be called into question for any of the inverse. As Matthew Rodriguez, he'll cross the line and he'll pick up the stage victory here, stage number 2 in this all-star race over Gonzalez, Zimmerman, Brock Whitehead, and Tanner Marr.
Just getting some clarification, so.
Catching up on our YouTube chat here. Got all the Patrick McQuaid fan club in our YouTube chat. We had Alonzo King said, hopefully I put on a good show for those couple of laps there in that heat race. You did indeed, Alonso. That was a lot of fun to watch. And maybe more so when it's an all-star race, because you know that drivers are going to be a little bit more risky with the moves and how hard they're going to battle. I mean, I guarantee you with what we saw 5, 6, 7 laps in to a race where points are on the line, we wouldn't have seen drivers leaning on each other, banging doors, trading paint. It gives a little bit of a luxury here for us, the fans, as well, to be able to see drivers and just kind of force the issue just the least little bit, see how far they can string it out and how aggressive they can be, and have it maybe pay off with a non-points victory here tonight.
Yeah, I think fuel will be important. Still can't tell you just yet what the invert is going to be, but I have left the guy that's in charge of inverting the people know exactly who it's going to be and what number it's going to be. We're going to be inverting. We just got to wait for these guys to roll off pit lane. Once they roll off a pit lane and any end of lines or any of that have been resolved, we can talk about it. That close. Because these are effectively, air quotes, competitive pit stops is the way to think about these again at this point.
Mark Gonzalez going to win the battle off of pit road there by just a little less than half a car length over Matthew Rodriguez. Nobody gambled this time, no surprise. 4 tires all around for everybody here of the race leaders.
There's some gaming on pit road. All right, who's going to roll out? I can tell you, the field is, we're still waiting for the last car for the invert to roll off a pit lane.
And we've had 11 drivers roll off pit road so far, so...
It's deep in the field. We're still going to be waiting a couple.
Well, we do have some drivers that look like they are making some damage repairs to their machines. Peyton Holland, Jonathan Cogswell, Tom Bourne, Chris Hubka, and Patrick McQuaid amongst those. And this is the beauty of the All-Star race as well. We're going to run down through the Roval section. Unless they're waiting maybe for the invert.
This is the invert that's coming to us.
Okay.
Okay, so the invert is 14th. Holy cow, there's a bunch of cars that just spun off a pit lane. They all hit a bump. Tom Bourne and Peyton Holland.
Huh.
Okay, so Jonathan Cogswell's just said it. My car's too damaged. I'm gonna go to the end. So he's forfeiting. So effectively, we're waiting on Peyton Holland. He'll become the new leader.
And we just saw him, along with Bourne, hit that bump there. That'll be something to squirrel away for next week, if indeed we come back to the same version of Charlotte.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to try and sort this out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Payne's going to start catching up here. We'll wait and see. Looks like the lights are still on the pace car as everything's trying to get situated here with the field invert. And we will run to the completion of this race now in our 3rd and final stage. Again, give everybody a reminder here that tonight's All-Star race, as well as next week's points-paying race here from Charlotte, next Wednesday night with the green flag flying at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is brought to you by Top It Off Hot Sauce Company. Turn up the heat with Top It Off sauce, uniquely handcrafted sauces and seasonings that pack revved up flavor and heat. Find your flavor at topitoffsauce.com and follow them on Facebook. As mentioned, it will be next week as well that they will be sponsoring the race from Charlotte, the Top It Off Hot Sauce 390 here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Only a handful of races left in this regular season before we put together the 16 or potentially, depending on who wins here tonight, 17 playoff drivers that will be competing for the championship in this season's playoffs. So interesting here as well, as we have these caution laps to get this invert. How close does this get us? Obviously, I would assume we're still going to have to come to pit road, but what does this do as far as the fluctuation of the window to be able to make it the rest of the way?
Yeah, so it might just bring us back a little bit. I think it's still going to be a splash and dash, so I still think there is going to be some fuel that needs to be added here. But I think it's going to be very, very minimal. So there could be a case for there's still going to be a case for guys locking that in. So either way, they've locked in the invert. This is how they're going to be rolling off from here on out. But yeah, there's that's the field as they're set up right now. So it's going to be Tenamar on the inside pole, Jeffrey Kleinsma outside pole. I believe Matt Metler inside second row, Noah Jackson outside second row, Scotty Stevens from Alan Dobbs, Trey Whitehead from Brock Whitehead, so the Whiteheads will be alongside each other. Brian Zimmerman alongside Matthew Rodriguez, Pat McQuaid alongside Mark Gonzalez, and then from there on back it's the cars that are in position, so it'll be Peyton Holland from Tom Bourne, and I think Cogswell's the last car running on the lead lap, and we have Chris Hubbard at the rear of the field off the lead lap, so he had some issues. Here we go.
Tanner Marr going to lead us back to green. You can see all three of our remaining Dash for Cash drivers right there in that shot. The 4, the 20, and the 28. Highest finisher of those three going to get a cash prize at the end of the evening. We have one more Dash for Cash race that will be taking place during the playoffs at Bristol. As Marr going to pull away, Kleinsma will slot into second, and Noah Jackson now into third place, but maybe not for long. Alan Dobbs going to cross him over on the back straightaway, headed for 3.
Yeah. So now a little bit of pressing on. Rodriguez has got speed again. He's just gone and picked off a whole bunch of cars nice and early in this run. There's a bunch of guys that's sitting back, chilling on their tires just a little bit. Telemar's not been great on the long run, so he's got some work to do. He's got clear air this time, though.
Matt Metler with a block on Brock Whitehead down the back straightaway. That's 5th place on back. Now he pushes up off of the corner. Rodriguez up there, and ooh, crowding Trey Whitehead, who gets the wall. Don't know if there was contact between those two or not. Scotty Stevens looking on. Again, a mosh pit from about 5th place on back.
Yeah, standing room only at the moment. Everyone's starting to... this is inverts, right? This is what happens when the quick cars go to the back and the back cars go to the front. Some cars respond really, really well. All of a sudden getting a little bit of track position. The other guys are going to figure out how they're going to get around guys, and getting around them quickly is important, but also looking after the tires is important.
There's no empty space on the racetrack right now. We are looking 3 wide here down the back straightaway. Whitehead back there trying to look low on Gonzalez, who slams the door. Rodriguez slams the door on Gonzalez. Just as much defensive driving going on right now as offensive.
Yeah, so at the moment, Alan Dobbs is on the outside of Tenamar looking for the race lead. But you're 100% right. Kleinsma is just basically bogging all of these guys up. Matler's up to 4th. Brock Whitehead to 5th. Noah Jackson's 6th. Gonzalez is going to finally build a run. There goes Dobbs, so he's grabbed the race lead.
Alan Dobbs has had such an impressive 2025 here in the Grind Cup Series, as he and Mark both are going to pancake the wall off of 4. 6 trips to victory lane, 11 stage wins. That leads all drivers. 926 laps led, 217 stage points accumulated so far this season, and looking to continue to add to that impressive resume with an all-star victory here tonight. Again, remember, the evening did not start out all that well for him. He spun the tires from the pole position, was spun out in the infield grass, got saved with a caution, kind of saved his tires here until we got to this final stage, and now he's found clean air and he's trying to set sail.
Yeah, and he will set sail. He'll also be thinking about the tires too. So he's thinking long term. That's the big thing.
We're leading on each other. We're banging doors down the back straightaway. That's Jackson and Kleinsma. They're side by side right now for the 5th position. Ahead of them, Matt Metler and Brock Whitehead are tied up for 3rd. Oh, and Mark Gonzalez, big hit there off of 4 into the outside wall. Looked like he completely lost the nose off of 4.
Yeah, and that's all that dirty air getting onto the nose. It's pretty much look for the open lane of air right now. That's more important. Because if you can do that, you can set the car, you can start turning the car, you can start building the speed off. And you can also think about saving the right front tire. And have a look at Metler's coming up this pack once again. He's getting to use all the racetrack. None of the guys behind him can.
Be a little concerned about that
Contact.
of Mark Gonzalez. Not only did he get... Whoa, Noah Jackson! Gonna go around through the infield grass, hops the curbing there. Saves it though, does not hit the inside wall, and the caution's gonna come out. 2nd caution of the night for cause. You got a little assistance. It might have been the 61 of Matthew Rodriguez.
Yep, might have gotten a little help. I don't think he ended up there on his own, I'll put it that way.
Front straightaways at D-shaped quad ovals are so difficult for that specific reason, because you've got those 2 areas there where a driver can maybe at the last minute get their nose to your left rear and you don't necessarily know if they're there or not. Noah Jackson coming down trying to pinch Rodriguez. Rodriguez did not lift, stayed to the left rear. The contact was made and Jackson goes around. Very fortunate the fact he didn't hit anything on the inside wall, but what about the transition there of the grass to the Legends course in the front straightaway and hop the curbing a little bit there with where the Charlotte Rovals entrance into their first corner of the road course configuration. How bad can that maybe affect the underside of the race car?
I think he's going to be okay. The big thing is not damaging any of the aerostructures, so I think he's actually okay. The whole field bar, what, Metler, I think, here, coming to pit lane? Is that Rodriguez? Rodriguez is the car that stayed out.
Rodriguez is the one that's staying out.
So he's looking for a little bit of fresh air to the nose.
Well,
everyone else is going to take the fuel stop in the tires.
Could it also be a case of him taking the responsibility for the incident, and so he's pitting 2nd time by?
I don't believe so. I have not heard anything as yet. So I'm fairly confident that's not going to happen.
You hear that whoosh,
and I mean,
whoosh, whoosh. That's the car leaving the ground right there, bouncing through the infield grass. For the 20
you got to remember with these cars and the way that they generate downforce is that based upon the ride height of the car at any one time, and I'm talking about bouncing as well as being ride height and also hitting the floor is important. Anytime, basically Venturi tunnels is what we're talking about here with the under tray of the car generating all the down. Something happened to Mark Gonzalez. He's still in pit lane actually. He's going to go to the rear of the field.
The wall earlier on that run. Okay. I'm not surprised because not only did he hit the wall off of 4, I was going to mention that the following turn 1, his car kind of shot back up to the right and brushed the wall again. I was kind of wondering if maybe the steering could be broken on his Chevrolet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tom Bourne broke his earlier in the night, and he's all the way back up to the lead. I think Matt Mendel might have taken 2 tires here.
So trio of drivers actually did. No, actually, a lot of drivers did. So right now, I've got Matt Metler, Tom Bourne, Trey Whitehead, Scotty Stevens, Brian Zimmerman, and Patrick McQuaid, all 2 tire stops.
So, that's a good call. I'm thinking grabbing some track positions, good call. 61 staying out with no tires, I think is not a great call. I definitely think the 2-tire call was probably the appropriate one there. But he's looking for a little bit of track position. There is some significant wear on those tires already, 15 laps on the run. But yeah, the big thing for me is going to be track position is going to be so key.
Remember, for a number of these drivers that are currently not in a position to advance to the playoffs, whether it be through a victory or through points, if they win here tonight, they get into a provisional 17th wild card playoff position. Right now, there are quite a number of drivers up here towards the front that would fall into that category, like Scotty Stevens, Brian Zimmerman, Brock Whitehead. Some other drivers up here as well, like a Matt Metler or a Trey Whitehead, who have put together really good, consistent seasons here, currently are in line to point their way into the playoffs. They'd love to be able to pick up a victory, albeit non-points. A checkered flag is still a checkered flag here in tonight's All-Star races. Here we go. We're going to have 23 laps remaining here in this All-Star race as Rodriguez looks on those old tires to get a decent enough launch. You can just see those fresher tires closing up on him here as they enter into turn one.
I think the big thing for Rodriguez is he was trying to back him up. He wanted to go as late in the zone as he possibly could, because that meant less speed going into turn one, and the biggest benefit of less speed, tires need speed. The higher the speed you enter turn one for the first time, the better newer tires will fare versus old tires. You get a big speed differential, so...
Brian Zimmerman right now the highest of the Dash for Cash drivers, trying to take third position away from Alan Dobbs. Trey Whitehead shot up the middle with Matt Metler down the back straightaway on that restart lap, moving his way now to sixth. Patrick Wade now swinging around the outside. He actually got fifth from Trey Whitehead, now looking for fourth on the 28 of Brian Zimmerman.
He got it.
A driver who
and have a look
did
at the
not
car.
make it into the All-Stars on speed.
Ooh.
Oh, and now he's going to give it all back.
That's unfortunate. That is really, really unfortunate for him, because he just got into a great spot. And that could have broken the... Yeah, he can't keep the car down anymore. He is the walking wounded.
Brian Zimmerman got by him for fourth. Trey Whitehead will now look to the inside for fifth place. Matt Metler still hanging on there on the two-tire strat.
Dobbs got the wall. Alan Dobbs just got the wall off the four. Just brushed it. I think he's okay. But he lost a ton of momentum.
Yeah, ton of speed right there as Brian Zimmerman closed right up on his back bumper.
And that says to me, Seth, how important track position is. That was dirty air. That's 4 tires on Dobbs versus 2 tires of Bourne, no tires of Rodriguez. Think about it that way. By the way, talking a lot to Tom Bourne pre-race tonight, he said, if I win, you are not getting me to do a shoey. And immediately the entire Hubka Motorsports team started to do that man is going to do a shoey.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody
We will
caught
make
that
it.
here. We'll show it here again. Just look read the fine print right down there. Winner receives a wild card entry in, and then if in playoffs, winner can do a shoey with Scott Rankin.
Well, not can, must.
Ah, typo.
Typo. Yeah, it's clearly written into all of these drivers' contracts for today. Must drink beer from shoe.
Could
Tell you what,
potentially
Rodriguez is in
could
the
be
spot at the
potentially the first race in Grind Cup Series history where the driver is happy to finish second.
And that was the thing Tom Bourne actually said was, I'd rather give up the win. So, yeah, he's not excited by that concept.
He's putting the pressure on Matthew Rodriguez now. Got a great toe on the front straightaway. Maybe realizing as well that Alan Dobbs is closing up on the both of them to make it a 3-man fight here for the top position. Brian Zimmerman and Trey Whitehead in 4th and 5th trying to close in as well. Bourne got to the bottom. Can he hook it all the way around? Find the momentum off? Yes, he can. Clear for the race lead. Rodriguez, though, going to cross him over.
This is good. This is really, really good, because this says there's no way that Alan Dobbs is going to get there, because he's dirty air in both lanes. And look at him continue to fight it out.
Nice run off the corner there for Rodriguez, but here comes Dobbs, full head of steam. Where does he go? He'll look top, gets blocked, looks low. He finds a lane to the inside of Matthew Rodriguez, but now gets hit with a wall of dirty air as Bourne pulls down in front of his nose.
Yep, and this is going to be the fight that he's going to have to deal with. I guarantee you Tom Bourne's just going to error block him to the bottom of the racetrack. You know that guy's good. You know he's got 4 tires. He is not getting fresh air for the rest of the race.
Almost kind of
Oh,
reminds
Rodriguez got the fence.
Almost kind of reminds me of a leader at a super speedway race. You're trying to read where the runs are coming from, and you're moving left and right to try and keep both lanes side by side with each other, because if you keep them battling for second, that means they're not able to concentrate on battling you for the race lead.
Well, more importantly than that, they're burning tire fighting each other, and that's what I'm trying to do if I'm Tom Bourne. The clean air is just so crucial here, and that's what it's looking like at the moment. You gotta have that clean air to the nose, and then, remember, we're talking about this groove being quite narrow. There is so little room to move around. This is actually the widest I've seen a next-gen groove at Charlotte in a very, very long time. That's healthy for the car. That's healthy for the series. That's healthy for the drivers. So it's good to see that.
Well, remember, for Tom Bourne, he did pick up a checkered flag earlier on this season at the Monster Mile of Dover. And while the win counted, it did not count towards a playoff position. So opportunity here tonight, if he's able to close out the victory in this all-star race, to kind of get that playoff spot back. But Alan Dobbs has got himself clear for second, and now there's about 3.5 car lengths between the two of these Chevrolets, closing in on 10 laps to go here tonight at Charlotte.
I think the big lesson is how well is Matthew Rodriguez actually hanging on in terms of those older tires. Track position is so important. I think the big thing for him, though, is that he was saving those tires quite majorly in the first part of that run before we got that yellow. And this is what plays itself out. He's made big gains as a result of that. Dobbs is starting to make gains.
Dobbs is the only driver inside the top 5 right now that went with 4 tires on that pit stop under the last caution. The other 3, Bourne, Zimmerman, and Whitehead, who did come to pit road, went with 2 tires, and Matthew Rodriguez didn't come to pit road at all. So in terms of the rubber underneath, one would think advantage to the 35. The problem for him, though, is he has to deal with the dirty air of the 16 of Tom Bourne ahead of him, which in a way would negate that extra grip that he's got underneath him.
Yeah, for sure. And Tom can just control the racetrack and where he wants to drive the car as well. He just manipulates everything about this battle up front. It's one of those ones where you are absolutely trying to mirror drive, but not in the way that you think. You're mirror driving from the perspective of where is he going to place the car, because you've still got to, at the end of the day, make
Contact!
the field. There's contact off of 4.
And Rodriguez is going to... Oh, he's going to get the inside pit wall there. Caution's going to come out. Oh, and Brock Whitehead's gone around, and he's going to make contact with Rodriguez there in the infield grass. So we had 2 separate incidents. Might have happened in the exact same spot, and the 2 spinning cars met at the same exact intersecting area. Oh boy, what do you do now?
Well, that run, 16 laps. I think you're going to come for tires. So I'm going to say it's 2. I think it's 2. I think you're some guys at the back. Actually, I tell you what, this is don't pit. This is don't pit, because after we get through all of these caution laps, it's going to be a couple laps to go. If you get to the head of this field, you get clear air, you control the restart, it's over.
You think you can hold them off for that long with that old of tires?
Yeah, 100%. The previous run proved that.
This was right behind the contact between Trey Whitehead and Matthew Rodriguez. Brock Whitehead getting the wall. Ooh, pretty good hit there with the right rear. I can't tell who that was that narrowly avoided his nose. Might have been Matt Metler. Maybe Jeffrey Kleinsma. They were both just behind that.
Couple takers. There's 3 of them. Yeah, there's 4. Okay, the guys that are coming down for tires, they are not getting back to the race lead.
Looks like the top 4 all staying out. Dobbs, Gonzalez, Trey Whitehead, Peyton Holland, Cogswell, Zimmerman, Patrick McQuaid. They're all on pit road, along with Matthew Rodriguez. It's going to be Tom Bourne, Matt Metler, Jeffrey Kleinsma, and Brock Whitehead that are going to roll the dice. That's 2 rows of traffic that your fresh tires are going to have to try and make their way through.
Yeah, that's huge. 1 row of traffic? Okay, maybe. 2 rows of traffic? Not going to happen, baby. Not going to happen.
See a couple of drivers that have retired out of the race during the course of the events here of our main event tonight. Tough break there for Scotty Stevens. He had a fast race car here tonight. Obviously, we saw him qualify his way into the All-Star race, winning one of our 2 earlier heat races. Noah Jackson, Tanner Marr, they're already locked into the playoffs through their victories, so the DNFs here tonight not going to hurt them nearly as badly, but we will have 13 drivers all on the lead lap when we go back green for what's looking like potentially going to be our final restart of the night. And that white, blue, and orange number 35 of Alan Dobbs, the black, white, and gold number 23 of Trey Whitehead. They're going to kind of be the measuring stick of, can you, on this restart, get a good enough launch, make the right moves to get through the traffic that's on older tires ahead of you, or will you succumb to the aero tightness that we have seen all through the field here tonight?
It's the aero tightness. The big problem for the guys that are on fresh tires is those tires are cold. They don't give you their best pace immediately. You got to take 2 laps to bring them in. Well, we're going to be going back to a restart here with 5 to go. 2 of those laps, you're going to be trying to bring tires in. That means you got 3 laps to get through. We get any caution, it's over.
To your point, we can see the 35 of Dobbs back and forth, trying to warm up those tires, bring them up as high in temperature as he can. Try and put him on somewhat a level playing field with the drivers up ahead of him. Tom Bourne, Matt Metler, they're going to be the front row. Jeffrey Kleinsma, who's already looking like he's going to be locked into the playoffs on points. Highest we've seen him run tonight. Going to restart third with Brock Whitehead, who we just saw spun around in the infield grass after contact with the outside wall. He is rolling the dice and staying out in the 4th position. Then the fresh tires behind them of Alan Dobbs and Trey Whitehead. Mark Gonzalez, Peyton Holland, Brian Zimmerman, Jonathan Cogswell. That is your top 10. Zimmerman's the highest of the dash for cash drivers here as we get ready for 5 laps to go here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh, someone got loose as Gonzalez got loose into the infield. He did not get a good launch.
Still rolling here. Also saw Jeffrey Kleinsma appear to have a bit of a moment on the inside of row number 2. That'll stack up the entire inside line as Bourne gets away. Whitehead, make that Brock Whitehead, moves to 2nd. Battle is on for 3rd. Here comes Trey Whitehead to the inside of Matt Metler.
And Trey Whitehead's the first car on fresh tires. He got by Alan Dobbs on that restart, and Dobbs is now going to get in the back of the pair of them. Whitehead's blocking it to the inside. It's all on for 3rd spot. And this is critical because this is the first car on those tires as well. Look at the lead that Bourne got, though. Look at that lead. It's going to be near impossible to run that down.
Dobbs gets tight there off of 2. You've got Peyton Holland into the wall. So now it is going to be Bourne and a pair of Whiteheads in the podium positions right now. Over 5 tenths, make it 6 tenths, make it 7 tenths of a second, making his way out of 4 here, the lead. Now it's Dobbs all over the back bumper of Trey Whitehead as they were able to dispose of Brock. Brock's drifted all the way back now to the 9th position.
They both took 2 tires, these guys, as well. But the thing is, Dobbs drove it brilliantly off the top. He's got momentum, he's going to get by. Dash for cash leader, don't forget Whitehead. Trey Whitehead it is. So that's important for him.
Now Dobbs clear of Trey Whitehead. Gonna have to make up about half a second here on Tom Bourne with 3 miles remaining. Bourne's got the track position, but he doesn't have the tires. Can he use the track position, the dirty air, to his advantage?
I think he can. Any more yellow here? We got to get a yellow before we get back to the stripe. We've got 3 green, white checkers, so we need it now. And it's not common. There's nobody in the field that's racing each other tight enough. Whitehead's not got the speed off the bottom. Dobbs had to lift. He couldn't carry the throttle the way that he wanted. 1.5 miles to go, Seth, and this is looking like that 16's in prime position.
About 3 car lengths back to Dobbs. Tom Bourne just trying to hit his mark. See what line the 35's running. Try and mirror it. Do not give him clean air to the nose. 2.5 car lengths down the back straightaway. Just got to have a clean 3 and 4 here, and Tom Bourne will be picking up an all-star race victory. One last dive into the corner. Dobbs trying to make it close. Couldn't get alongside. Tom Bourne's going to pick up the victory here tonight. He will take the eSports All-Star Race presented by Top It Off Hot Sauce Company.
One more lap was all Dobbs needed. One more lap. That was it. There's some games going on out there as well.
Track position was king for Tom Bourne. And maybe a little redemption from not getting a playoff spot locked up with his victory at Dover. He now has solidified himself a spot, a wild card 17th slot in the postseason now with his victory tonight in the All-Star race as the celebration begins here on the front straightaway in front of the fans in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And I hope that man's got a shoe ready because he is going to receive hell if he don't.
Oh, I forgot about that. Do we make it a shoe, or do we do it a little bit more personal and make it a fireman's boot?
Ooh, there you go. There you go. Man's got to use what a man's got available. And for Tom, he's time for him to drink from a shoe. It's all about celebrating. That's what we're gonna do at the end of the day, you know. So have some fun with it. I'm not saying he has to drink from a dirty shoe. I'm gonna let the man rinse it out. I'm not cruel.
I want to find the one brave soul that's going to try to attempt to drink from a sandal. That would be incredible balance.
Hey, look, I think he could do a shot out of a sandal, but I don't think he could do any more.
Probably not.
At least he's enjoying the burnouts down the front straight away.
Oh, yeah. Matthew Rodriguez pulling alongside there. Alan Dobbs offering his congratulations as well. As you said, just needed one more lap, and he probably would have had something there for Tom Bourne. But the lap counter in favor of the number 16 Chevrolet, as he'll make his way down here through the Legends course and be headed for Victory Circle. Let's take a look here at the finishing results from this one. Again, there's no points on the line here tonight. Is a playoff spot that is obtained by Tom Bourne with this victory, but everybody else that would have already been locked into the playoffs, they were just in it for bragging rights. And in the case as well of our Dash for Cash drivers, if I'm not mistaken, Brian Zimmerman is going to pick that up as he brings it home in the 5th position over the other two Dash for Cash drivers that had advanced into this all-star race. Trey Whitehead. I mean, look at Dobbs and Whitehead. These are two drivers that, if I'm not mistaken, Dobbs was on the pole, and I believe Trey started 4th. Both had issues with spinning tires. Both found themselves spun around on the front straightaway as soon as they crossed the line to take the initial green flag. Good battle back for both of them to finish on the podium in 2nd and 3rd. Peyton Holland, great run for him tonight in 4th. We mentioned Zimmerman winning the Dash for Cash as he gets 5th. Matthew Rodriguez will finish in 6th with Matt Mettler in 7th. Jeffrey Kleinsma in 8th. Mark Gonzalez was 9th. And Jonathan Cogswell completing the top 10. Rest of your finishers here tonight were Patrick McQuaid and Brock Whitehead in 11th and 12th. Chris Hupka finished a lap down in 13th. And 3 drivers did not reach the conclusion. Scotty Stevens, Noah Jackson, and Tanner Marr. Those were the 16 drivers that transferred their way into this all-star race, either through initial qualifying speed or through the 2 heat races earlier on tonight. But one driver, only one, can park in victory lane, and that is Tom Bourne here this evening. But we're going to now see if we can dial up he along with our other podium finishers here tonight, get their impressions of what took place in this tooth and nail battle under the lights at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in All-Star Racing. Let's see if we can get a hold of the 3rd place performer, driver that number 23, Trey Whitehead. Hey Trey, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, the evening didn't start off all that great. Cold tires spinning there on the initial start of this race. You found yourself looped around and having to battle back, but hey, great patience and aggression kind of balanced out here through the course of this 80-lap event. Bring it home on the podium position. But it looked like a dogfight out there those last couple of restarts.
Oh, me and Matthew Rodriguez, we haven't raced together in a while. I may or may not have called him a jackass, but we talked about it after the race. So, we're all good there. The bumps at the end were to kind of spice up the broadcast a little bit. So, we got some manufactured drama, I guess you could say. But good Lord, I mean, the car drove like crap, and you had to make it work. And there was a couple ways you could make it work, and yeah, cold tires on the start of the race. I mean, I did that when I first joined the league at Auto Club, where I money shifted on a restart, and restarts are not my deal. So just glad to battle back to third. Sorry, I got into the 61. Scott, I thought it was you for a little bit until I saw it was Matthew. So I was like, well, I guess there's no shoey for me even if I win. So I thought you were gonna be mad at me, but it's not you. So
I was gonna say, how dare you go out there and wreck my car? I gotta drive that car next week. I can't have you out here wrecking my race car.
Hey,
okay, it doesn't matter who's behind the wheel.
I'll pull a Noah Gregson and just start helping put the decals back on it on the backup car. So, but it was definitely a dogfight. I'm just glad to finish third, but third means nothing in the All-Star race. We'll take this next week for sure when it comes to points. So, just good momentum really is what we take from this.
I was gonna say, one of the benefits of having a short shoot race like this is normally we're so much about the tire saving. It's about looking after it, making sure you got a car at the back end of the run. Is it kind of releasing to know that you can just go out there and you can just put pedal to the metal and just go hard?
I thought it. Oh, go ahead, finish.
No, that's about it.
Well, I thought it was going to start that way until I spun out, and then we had damage, and I couldn't drive the car in general. And then, towards the end of the run, I was able to figure out that you didn't have to kind of take it easy on entry. And then kind of get it down to the bottom. I started experimenting downshifting to fourth on both ends and kind of sending it in and the trail braking a little bit, just hugging that paint. Man, that paint has a lot of grip on it, and if you can stay on it without getting tight, I mean, you're going to have a lot of speed. So, it is releasing, and good to know that you can just go out there and drive the hell out of it and do what you can to try to win the race. And honestly, if I didn't get tight behind my brother there when he stayed out on old tires, I don't know if I would have caught Tom, but it would have been interesting. But Alan ended up getting around me and stuff. But I don't know if it really helps us that much for next week, because next week we're going to go right back into taking care of the tires. It's going to be a really long race, and we're just going to kind of throw caution to the wind as far as the notes go from this race, and just try to take the two podiums in a row onto next week and try to make it 3 and hopefully get our first win of the season. So we're looking forward to it.
So we're going to throw caution to the wind, or the flagman's going to throw the caution in the wind. I'm not sure which one
exactly,
that was going to
yes.
be, but Trey, you put together
all of it.
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah, so you see all options. Trey, you put together a stellar season here, a great performance here in the All-Star race as well. I was going to ask you, but you kind of preempted me there, that maybe not a whole lot of what you experienced here tonight going to be able to take away and apply next week when we come back here to Charlotte. So it'll be interesting to kind of see the period of adaptation and the differences in the driver approach from tonight in preparation for next week here, with just a handful of races till we put this playoff grid together. As you said, great podium here tonight, and you definitely want to get a podium next week, so we wish you luck on that. Congratulations on the great run here tonight. And before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, obviously I got Prize Picks on the podium this time. I mean, not Prize Picks. Wow, that's my brother. Oh, team sponsor plug there. Underdog on the car. I haven't had very much luck sports betting, but if you want to try it out, just use code Triple Trey whenever you sign up, and you get a deposit match, 50% of what you deposit. So nice to do that. And then obviously everybody on the team, I'm not too happy with Brock for making me get tight there and losing second to Allen, but we'll just carry it on to next week. And then there's been some turmoil, as you guys might have seen, DJ not being able to race with us anymore the rest of the season. So kind of transitioning that DDR team to going under my banner, Whitehead Racing, and we're losing a driver, so we're going to be looking to try to add somebody else. But yeah, just trying to keep the mojo up and keep the momentum going. And just appreciate you guys for putting the broadcast on, and Hopka for the league. Tonight was fun with the heat racing and everything. Unfortunately, I qualified, in the top 10, so I didn't get a chance to race it. But really fun format. And like I said, just can't wait to get back points racing next week. And we're searching for that win. But if we don't get it, we're getting a lot of top 5s right now, so we'll take it.
mentioned a key word that we hear a lot of drivers put emphasis on when we get to this portion of the regular season. That is momentum. So good momentum in the camp of this 23 car as you bring it home on the podium here tonight in the All-Star race. We wish you luck next week when we come back here to Charlotte and begin points racing once again with just a handful of races left here in the regular season. Patriotic night here revolving around the 4th of July and everything. So best of luck there. We'll see you in a week's time when we come back here to Concord, North Carolina.
Yep, sounds good. Scott, I'll see you in the shop here in a little bit. We'll fix your backup car for you.
Oh, you better get down there on the tools, boy.
See y'all later.
As Trey Whitehead brings it home 3rd place here tonight. His night is obviously not over. He's got a little bit of repair job to be doing here. Let's see if we can dial up the driver that brought it home in the 2nd position. Needed one more lap to pick up this All-Star race victory. Let's get a hold of Alan Dobbs. Hey, Alan, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Man, I'll tell you what, we talked just moments ago with Trey Whitehead, a driver that had an issue on the initial start of this race and had to spend the next 80 laps trying to fight their way back forward. You had the same thing. Started on the pole position, spun the tires, you're in the infield grass, and you're having to pass cars to get back up there to that optimal clean air. One lap away maybe from being able to take this thing. There's that dirty air, not able to get into that nose, that clean air it needed off the corner to get alongside of Tom coming back there to the checkers.
Well, to be perfectly honest, and Tom will tell you the same thing, I let him win, trying to help him with a bid for the playoffs. I definitely had a lot more pace. I was doing my best just to try to keep Trey behind us so he could take it home.
Man, I mean, tough run at the end of the race. Difficult, obviously, with all the strategies. A lot of learning to take out of that race heading into next week, and a much longer race that we're going to have then. And I think the big thing is get off that right front tire. Anything you can do to unload that tire is huge.
Yeah, definitely the right front wear is extreme, especially at night, because the rears just have way too much grip. Like in practice, I was trying to spin myself out in the corner, and it wouldn't do it no matter what I did. But yeah, it's a great learning experience for next week when points are paid out, even though I don't know if I'm going to be there or not. But we'll see. And overall, it was a good race. I had a lot of fun. I thought it was at least there wasn't a bunch of cautions, right? With like 16 drivers, you'd hope it'd go green. So that was nice.
Yeah, definitely some great racing all the way through the field. We kind of saw comers and goers depending on how abrasive they were on the tires. And definitely saw a good one here tonight. A nice little precursor for what to expect when we rack them up and do it again next week with points on the line when we come back here to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Alan, congratulations on the great run here tonight. A nice job of working your way back up through the field after the early issues, bringing it home solidly in 2nd place tonight here in the All-Star race. Before we let you go, we'll give you the opportunity here for thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Shout out to my beautiful wife, Hupka Motorsports, RKR, all the guys in Discord, you guys for the broadcast, and everybody for coming out and racing. Thanks for putting on a good show.
Alan Dobbs, 2nd place here tonight, and he'll look to get back to work here as he's firmly in control of the points lead, looking to take that regular season championship with about 5 regular season races left to go here in 2025. So congratulations on the great run tonight, and best of luck here down the remainder of this regular season in preparation for the playoffs, Alan.
I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Let's see if we now get a hold of the driver that brings it home with the victory here tonight in the All-Star race. Locks himself up a playoff spot as a result as well. Let's dial up Tom Bourne. Hey, Tom, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hello, yes.
All right, so 2 great things go on here tonight. Number 1, you lock yourself up a playoff spot with this victory here tonight in the All-Star race. And second, you get to do a shoe
I know
with
what you're gonna.
Scott.
No. I know what you were gonna say. No, it's
And
not
we've
happening.
already established you're drinking it out of a fireman's boot. So there you go.
I can
so-
arrange that. I have my old.
So he's
boots
committed.
and
We heard him. He's
everything.
doing it.
He's
Yeah,
doing
we heard
it.
him. He's
There
doing
you
it.
go.
Yeah, okay, sweet. Yeah, sweet.
I-
He just admitted.
I can arrange it. I never said I was doing it.
Arranging it is 75% of doing it, so you got to go the full 100%.
Listen, I am 100% of giving it 75% thought.
That's too much numbers.
Right, so, look, your playoff spot is now sitting there on the side. You get it when we get a clip of you drinking beer from a shoe.
Ooh.
we can't be making up rules midway through the season. It just doesn't work like
I
that.
don't know. I feel like as broadcasters, we should get some kind of perks.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
100%.
I will send a photo to either you, Scott, or Seth, and you can show it on the broadcast next week.
Okay.
Okay?
Sweet.
It's gonna be a picture. It's not gonna be a video. Because I can
There
look
needs
good in a picture. A video, not so much.
there needs to be at least I want to see fluid draining out of that boot. That's my requirements.
All right,
I
all right.
don't-
We'll talk later in the week.
Well, we saw obviously with the length of that burnout, though, the elation of finally getting back to victory lane. You know, we ended up talking there with Dobbs, and obviously, you know, trying to help you get this victory to get into the playoffs here. You had that win at Dover; it didn't count towards a playoff position. So now, how does this kind of swap the mindset? Now you kind of have to switch gears and get yourself into postseason mode now.
Yeah, it's definitely a refocusing thing. I've just been kind of racing to race. I have not had the season that I've wanted to. Missed a lot of races due to work and other things going on in my personal life, and ultimately that was gonna essentially not let me make the playoffs. And then I saw it when Chris put this into effect. I'm like, okay, Charlotte's one of my best tracks. I need to go. I need to go perform, and we got the qualifying run we wanted. Um, didn't have the lap one we wanted, um, including the lap one incident. But overall, it's definitely it puts a weight back on my shoulders. I know a lot of people don't say that, but a weight back on my shoulders because was not. I was out here trophy hunting essentially, and now I'm gonna be hopefully hunting a lot bigger trophy.
Well, a great run for you here tonight. You pick up the All-Star Race victory this evening. Able to hold off on those old tires, all the competition behind you. We saw that late caution and played for some very interesting strategy in the closing stages here. It was a lot of fun to watch it all culminate. We'll let you get back to your celebration in Victory Lane in just a moment, Tom, but for now we're handing the mic over to you for some Victory Lane thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah. First things first. You guys doing the broadcast week in and week out. Happy to have you back. It's always a pleasure listening to you guys broadcast. Hubka for bringing me back. For I feel like it's the third time. He's always great to me, and I try and do the same to him. Reaper Apparel Company. We had a special scheme on the car for the All Star Race tonight. Gold as it's called a royalty variant, and it was pretty fitting to get it back in victory lane for the first time, and probably the only time that's going to be ran. Ghost Energy, Fire News, technically FRN still because I'm still sponsored by you guys. Everybody that came out, raced for the All Star Race, raced all season long. Alan puts on a great show week in and week out. Trey, awesome run for him, and Ruse Motorsports, or however you say his team name. I forgot. I am very rusty on these interviews. And just Melissa, she's always watching. My biggest fan, always. My friend Kira, she just lost her pet Lola. So I felt like she was helping me out with that. Sydney, she's always watching. All and everybody watching overall. You guys watching let us do what we do best and put on a show week in and week out. So thank you for that. And yeah, just and one more shout out to Matt Rod for letting FRN come back to this league and us being able to put on a show week in and week out.
Well, Tom Bourne gets the victory here tonight in the All-Star Race. He locks himself into the playoffs with this victory. 5 regular season races left to go before that playoff grid is put together. So congratulations on the victory here tonight. Hope this leads to some good momentum down the home stretch of this regular season in preparation for running for that overall championship after we conclude at Daytona. Best of luck, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Tom Bourne with the victory here this evening, his second victory of 2025. Obviously, he has a points-paying victory at Dover. This is a non-points win, but holds just about maybe as much bearing as if it was a points-paying win, because it gets him now into that 17th wildcard playoff position.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big one moving forward. You know, getting your way in is 17 cars, but the other thing is, you know, you can now sort of take Tom to the side and be like, he's not here for points races. He's not here to challenge the back end of that 16. So that's also takes another card out of it. But yeah, you get a new winner in that race at the right time is also very, very important. So yeah, look, I mean, big race here tonight sets us up, and you know that was a big statement from Tom as well. He knows this track. He feels comfortable here. He's going to be very, very strong next.
Something that I was kind of interested to hear from a couple of our podium finishers as well is there was some confidence that what we learned here tonight could be applied next week, maybe more for the short run, but in terms of the driver mentality, knowing that this is going to be a much longer race when we come back here next Wednesday night, not really a whole lot can be applied when you're necessarily settling in for the long run with what we had here tonight, especially this being a rather expedited race. We ended up having pretty much 20 to 40 lap spurts here, whether you took part in the heat races or in the overall all-star race tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think the longer runs next week as well are going to play themselves out a little bit differently as well. Looking after the tires, the way you do that. But the biggest bonus set that we saw out of tonight was the groove. I always come into Charlotte and I feel claustrophobic because you just feel like there's only one way around this racetrack. We didn't see that. We saw cars able to make overtakes. We saw cars able to press on the tire, run the short run the long run different tire strategies, run a 2-tire strategy, run a no pit strategy. The best thing that says to me, you got a car in a healthy place. The next week is going to be an amazing race with a lot of opportunity.
Be a lot of fun to see how that all culminates here. As next week we'll be back here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Points will be on the line. It'll be our patriotic themed race next week as well. So again, looking forward to seeing a lot of the red, white, and blue under the lights here from Concord, North Carolina. We thank everybody for tuning in to our coverage here tonight from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tune in next week, next Wednesday night, at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when we get ready to go green for our final 5 races of the regular season. Should be a good one here as we continue on 2025 and look towards the playoffs. For Scott Rankin, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us here on this Wednesday night. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.